Welcome to day 3. So far, you've been working with the beginning of the day and the structure of how you think about what you can and can't control. Today, I'm going to introduce something for the end of the day, and if you stick with it, this might turn out to be the single most useful habit in the whole program. Seneca was a Roman senator, a playwright, a philosopher, and for a period one of the wealthiest men in the empire. He led an enormous, complicated life, and every evening before he went to sleep, he did the same thing. He reviewed the day that had just passed. He went through what he had done, what he had said, how he had handled things, and he asked himself 3 questions. What did I do well? What could I have done differently? And what did I learn? He didn't do this to punish himself or to feel guilty about his mistakes. He did it because he understood something about how people actually improve, which is that if you don't deliberately look at what happened and extract something from it, you can live through the same patterns over and over without ever noticing them. The Stoics thought of life as something you practice, the way you'd practice a craft or a skill. A carpenter doesn't get better by thinking about carpentry, and you don't become a better person by thinking about being better. You have to look at what you actually did, compare it to what you intended, and pay attention to the gap between those two things. That gap is where all the growth is, and without a regular practice of examining it, experience accumulates but understanding doesn't. You can go through the same year 20 times and call it 20 years of experience, and it won't mean anything if you never stop to look at what you were actually doing. The 3 questions are simple. What did I do well today? Which matters more than most people think, because if you only ever focus on what you got wrong, you're training yourself to believe that you're always falling short, and that's not useful. What could I have done differently? Which is not the same as what did I do wrong, because it's forward-looking rather than punishing. And what did I learn? Because every day has something in it, if you're paying attention. Something about yourself, about another person, about a situation you're navigating, or about the world. I want you to do this in writing because writing forces you to be specific in a way that just thinking about it doesn't. When you write something down, you can't get away with vague impressions and half-formed ideas. You have to actually say what happened and what you think about it, and that specificity is where the value is. You're going to repeat this every evening for the remaining 11 days of the program, and that's deliberate. The morning preparation from yesterday and the control exercise from day 1 are things you can dip in and out of and still benefit from. But the evening review is cumulative. It builds on itself. By the end of the first week, you'll have a week's worth of observations about your own patterns, and by day 14, you'll have a document that tells you something real about who you are and where you're heading. So tonight, before bed, set aside 5 minutes. Answer the 3 questions. Be honest with yourself, but don't be cruel. You're practicing self-awareness, and self-awareness and self-punishment are very different things. Before you sleep, read this line from Seneca. I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said, hiding nothing from myself, passing nothing by. I'll see you tomorrow.